You've probably heard me mention that the 3520 has seen a lot of salt. Yeah, I bought that tractor. Probably one of the biggest lessons in buying a used tractor is to be very careful of buying tractors that have been exposed to salt for thousands of hours, and that's what I got here. I found another surprise, negative surprise with that tractor, and that's what we're going to work on today. Yep, this is the drawbar and the bracket that the drawbar comes in. They're all frozen together. Hopefully we can get that apart today. Let's get started. Now the drawbar is supposed to slide. Here's the pinpoint here. It's supposed to slide back and forth in here. I've already put PB Blaster in here and taken a screwdriver and dug in there and tried to get as much of that rust out as possible. It seems to be frozen in here and here in these holes. This hole doesn't go all the way through, but it's full down in there, and I've dug a lot of that out too. I've tried to beat on it, stand it up on the end and beat on it. You can see I've bent it here. Oh, and yeah, you can see the fire wrench has been out. And the biggest issue is that I just don't have any way to hold it. Right, I can't hold it while I hit it, so I can't hit it and really get all I want on it. So had a couple choices here. I looked at the new parts. Believe it or not, it's like $600 for the new parts, at least $500. The bracket being more expensive than the drawbar. I also talked to a guy that has one salvage. He would be willing to sell me both parts for $200. In some ways, though, it's just something I don't want to give up on, right? I mean, yeah, you can always buy a new piece, but this one would be as good as new if I can get it out of there and get it shined up a little bit and painted. So what I've done is I bought a tool. Yeah, I bought myself a press. Every project's more fun if you can buy a new tool, right? So this is the Harbor Freight 20-ton press. My thinking is that I can stand it up in there, put that drawbar in there, and press it out. And if I can't get it out, I've got it positioned well where I can heat it. So that's the plan. We'll see what we can do. I should have measured that to make sure that I've got enough stroke here to do the job, but hopefully it'll work. Now I can already tell you that this is more pressure. I mean, this is a better way to do this than anything I had with a hammer. So I may not need any more heat. I heated it up pretty good once, and that may have broken that rust pretty good. I'm optimistic that I'll just be able to press it out of there. But I don't know. Okay, I've got about all that I can put on it with this handle. I think before I apply any heat, I just don't know how bold to be. Hey, it just give. Maybe you can see that it's moved half a hole there. Now I'll probably soon be out of stroke. Moved some more. Folks, it's about as tight as I can push it. This is pretty amazing. There it goes. I'm going to shoot some more lube. Maybe as it moves downward I can get that. The question is it ever going to free up? I'll have to raise the bottom of it up now because I'm out of stroke up here at the top. I'm just hoping it comes on loose. Okay, here we go. Moving freely now, huh? Okay, let's see if we can move it from there. If a little does a little good, a lot will do a lot of good. Here's what the drawbar looks like. And here's what the bracket looks like. I guess it's time to start cleaning. A lot of additional rust on here. It's not going to impact the structure of the drawbar, but it's enough to see why it's going to be difficult to slide in and out. That is for sure. That press really did seem to be the ticket for getting that out. I just didn't have any way to hold it, and the press made it work perfectly for me. I suspect the heat that I applied earlier helped, because I could hear the rust kind of snapping. I mean, of course I heard PB blaster boiling and all, but I could hear some snapping happening when I heated. Now I did that several days ago off video. I didn't show video of that because, well, I just didn't know how difficult it was going to be to get out. So I didn't think it was worth a video unless and until I ran into a lot of problems, which I have here. Okay, so now I'm going to get the grinder out here and see if I can take some of this surface off. Every time I go to grind on rust, people say, hey, why don't you use one of those grinding wheels, the flapper wheels? And well, I just don't find the flapper wheel to be very aggressive. Okay, that's one side out of 4. Yeah. But I needed to get those rust pits all out of there. I'll continue with the rest of it and show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, here's where I've got on the drawbar. Got it all shined up. A few pits left in a couple of areas, but it's in pretty good shape. Bigger challenge though on the bracket. Let's take a look at it. I can't get in there with my grinder. So I'm not sure how to get all that rust out of there so that I can paint in there. You know, it doesn't have to look perfect, but at the same time, I have to get it where it'll stop rusting because I don't want it to freeze up again. I'll think about that for a little while and I'll get back to you. I probably haven't told you how I found out about my drawbar being all rusted up. Well, we went to mow a few weeks ago, and I needed to pull the drawbar out because it wasn't far enough from the PTO shaft. Yeah, I've learned my lesson on that. Didn't know what to do in a pinch. I finally thought it over and realized, hey, I have another one of these drawbars and brackets on my 3046R. So that's what I did. I borrowed it from the 3046R to get me through that day, and that allows me to repair it in a more relaxed fashion. So now we're going to take this off and put the newly fixed, yeah, I haven't shown you yet, newly fixed 3520 drawbar back on. Looks like new. I don't see any issues there at all. Okay, here's my new bracket. My friend that has the sandblaster and the car, you might call it fix-up business, he's working on that old Mustang. I believe it's a 67. Yeah, it's a very high-end Mustang. I don't know my Mustangs, so I'm not certain which one it is, but it's one of those that can be really, really valuable. Anyway, he sandblasted it out for me. He also chiseled out the rust. It was pretty bad in here, and I knew I didn't have a tool that could get in here. I ground, as you saw, on the outside of the drawbar, but I could not get into some of these areas, and he was able to do that with the chisel. So it's a little beat up where I tried to get them apart before I put the press on it. That's a good reminder, at least for me, to get a press. I'm glad I did. One part of me wants to shoot a little penetrating oil in there or something so they'll go in easier. And another part of me wants to shoot some thread locker in there to keep them from coming out. Still deciding on that. It looks like it might have had some thread locker before. I think I'll probably just go without. I'll just use my Gutentite method. Okay, here's the drawbar. Painted up. I can see a little bit of the rust pitting still here. Yeah, it's not perfect, but I think it'll work fine. And if I see it rusting really bad, I'll take it off and shine it up a little bit. But I think this is good enough for now. Put it in here and we'll have a drawbar that'll work. Okay, I need to choose the hole that's nearest to 14.5 inches. That's this one right here. It's exactly 14.5 inches. Surprise, surprise. I usually put the pin in from the bottom, and the reason is so that the latch here can be on the top. In this case, I'm using a hairpin instead of the linch pin that came with it. I've lost the linch pin. Well, actually, it apparently wasn't in it at all because the pin was in right side up and there was no linch pin in it, and I don't have a linch pin of the right size. So I'm going to try using this hairpin. It's up here where it shouldn't get caught, but we'll see how it goes. Well, that's pretty much it. I have to put the newer one back on my 3046R. And so what's some lessons here we can learn? Lesson number one is if you buy a tractor that's been used in the salty area with lots of hours on it, you're going to have some rusting. That's a big lesson. Lesson two is a lot of that can be fixed. Not that big of a deal. Just be patient. Lesson three is if you've got a tractor like this as a second tractor, it lowers the tension level just a little bit. It doesn't have to be identical like this one, but if you have a second tractor, you can use that other tractor to accomplish your goal while you're fixing this one. That's a good way to handle it. If you're not familiar with repairs, if you're not handy with repairs, stick with the new machine. I really think that's a good way to go. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.
So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal.